Is Micah Parsons, the star defender for the Dallas Cowboys, actually going to be available this offseason? What should the Arizona Cardinals, Johnny Venerable, be willing to give up for Parsons?
If Mike is not available, the good news is Bo and I are here to churn out a banger of a 2-round mock draft that seemingly could solve all the Cardinal problems. PHNX Cardinals starts now. We're feeling wild, but we're not the Wildcats. It's PHNX Cardinals, live from Studio K, presented by our friends at Circle K. Your number one Arizona Cardinal podcast. We're just giving producer Damon some grief. I'm Johnny Venerable.
A little free promotion.
There you go. Our special boy on PHNX Wildcats.
You're shameless.
Check him out. Check us out in Studio K. It's Bo, it's Johnny, it's Damon. We're going to be joined by our guy Clarence of DLLS Cowboys to talk a little Micah Parsons, and he is the guy with the Dallas Cowboys. So we're going to get a definitive answer on Micah Parsons amongst the Cowboy hoopla. But first, I want to tell you about our presenting sponsor today. Download the Bet365 app. Use the bonus code PHNX when you sign up. Find out why, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary with Bet365. Bonus code PHNX365. Can you get future odds on Bet365 on one Micah Parsons? You're going to have to dabble to find out, Bo Brack.
Yes, you will. I guess we'll hold or fold later in the week. But I know Johnny and I are excited about holding and folding this week since we were victorious. Probably the start of a new trend that's going to hit this show, continue on throughout the rest of the postseason. Obviously, hello to our friends out there. Bird Gang, Mr. Fat Gangster, Mikey, Han Shot First, Richard, Ozzy, Claymore, AZ Moses, Didi, the entire squad. Didi's already saying, let's hold the line. Let's hit that like all together now. It's a Wednesday edition of the show, and it's exciting.
We're excited. We have a banger of an interview, shameless plug, with our guy Michael Wilson. Check that out here on PHNX Cardinals. Go PHNX.com. Mike revealed a lot of good stuff, but I think we are all in unison that Cardinals could make some tweaks to their offense, but the improvement is going to have to come internal, right? With the play calling, with the quarterback, with the complementary skill players. That is not the case defensively. I think we would all say in unison, Bo, that if we're sitting here 6 weeks from now, 2 months from now, and it's usually the same group of guys. I'm watching OTAs, and hey, there's Zaven Collins. I'm watching OTAs, and hey, there's Dante Stills. That's great. We want those players. But where's the cake, right? That's the icing for the Arizona Cardinals. We need to splurge a little bit. And that brings us to the topic of conversation today. Micah Parsons, who, of course, all-worldly pass rusher, 26 years old. Is he available? We know the Cardinals made a phone call to Dallas. I don't know definitively if it was for Micah, but you can connect the dots there at the trade deadline. Now you wonder, with no Mike McCarthy in the fold, is Micah Parsons available? Bo, I want to point to this blurb that Micah had via his own podcast. It's called The Edge. Damon, do we have this one? Micah saying, following the dismissal of head coach Mike McCarthy, Mike's always been good to us. Losing a great coach like Mike hurts. It's going to be a very interesting offseason. It's going to be, and this is the money quote, a complete reset. It's going to be very interesting and a challenging offseason, but I trust my owner, Jerry Jones, and I trust our GM, also Jerry Jones.
That one caught me off guard there. Right? It's all one and the same. I mean, the last part there, though, also is that he does trust the organization. Now, does he trust them to do the right thing and extend him and keep a very talented player going into the fifth-year option of his rookie contract to keep him in Dallas, just like they did with CeeDee Lamb, just like they did with Dak Prescott. And didn't they do it with Trayvon Diggs too?
They did, yeah.
They've spent a lot of money as far as retaining their players. And in December, I remember there was a report from Ian Rappaport saying that, he had talked with Stephen Jones and they were going to reevaluate some things, like, because they had kind of been burned by these big contracts. Like, they'd sign these guys to big deals, and then those guys would succumb to big time injuries. And they understand, of course, like the 1 in 53 here. And with, another, superstar, and that's what Micah Parsons is, double-digit sacks in each every one of his 4 NFL seasons. Is it worth it to have to ante up for what it costs to keep the stars on the roster? And, in Rap Sheet followed up with that on Micah. And I think that I believe it was, and I'm paraphrasing, that they're going to explore every avenue. And that includes extending him. That includes, I'm sure, trading him or having him play throughout the end of his deal here. So I don't think you can close the door on anything, but I'm sure our guy Clarence will clarify quite a bit of this here shortly.
Yeah, Dallas is in a difficult spot. They don't have a head coach. They could be coached by Colorado's own Deion Sanders, who once upon a time was a Hall of Fame Cowboy in and of himself. And they're a wild card for a lot of different reasons. Dallas doesn't typically trade top-end talent. Micah, we talk about Max Crosby, the Cardinals being interested. Myles Garrett, who's on, wrong side of 30 suddenly. Micah is, I think, the blue chipper of them all with respect to those other two players, because of his age. He's 26 years old. I think it spoke a lot about him this year, Bo. They had nothing to play for. He was banged up. He came back and balled out for them. And really, I think almost saved Mike McCarthy's job by himself. Like how viable that team was down the stretch, right? And how productive he was and is every single year. I mean, he has been a freight train from hell off the edge since they drafted him out of Penn State. And I'm with you. I remember that article that came from Ian Rappaport on NFL.com. I think it was like mid-December. Basically, because they were 5-8, because of the ramifications of paying Dak and paying CeeDee, and then the roster kind of deteriorating around them, it will change their approach as it relates to what exactly they plan on doing short-term and long-term. And speaking of our approach here on PHNX Cardinals, we want to give a big welcome to our guy, Clarence of DLLS Cowboys, making his PHNX Cardinals debut. We're talking Micah Parsons, myself, Johnny, Bo, and Clarence. Clarence, you got us, my guy?
I got you, yes. Can you hear me?
Can hear you great.
Yeah. How are you guys doing?
We're doing well. Last time Clarence and I spoke, Johnny, I've had the pleasure of speaking to him too on the All NFL show. We actually got into a little bit of a back and forth about the upcoming college football playoff game. And I think it was a little bit too tight maybe for your liking between ASU and Texas a couple weeks ago, Clarence.
Well, yeah. I mean, we kind of took you for granted. I think we were overlooking you guys. The whole state of Arizona was in Phoenix. Was in Atlanta. We were kind of waiting for to come to the Cotton Bowl. Texas really didn't show up, at least from a fan standpoint. But we got the W, baby. We got the W.
You did. What'd you think about Cam Scatterbo? How did he look wearing that star on his helmet next season?
Yeah, again, there's so much talk about Ashton Genty, but Scatterbo looked good. He's a guy, second, third round. I don't know which round he's going to go in, but when we're talking about the Cowboys draft, and certainly we're already doing that on DLLS and what they need, and certainly running back is going to be at the top of the list. They don't have to necessarily get one in the first round. You have a deep running back class with guys like Scatterbo who should be in there in the second and third round.
Clarence, before we jump into Micah, I do want to ask you, the Cowboys, it felt like we're poised to have a quiet offseason, at least to begin with, and then they've kind of thrown a wrench in it like only Jerry Jones can. Did you see the McCarthy exit coming? Did you anticipate this was going to happen? Because NFL Network and ESPN, they're all like, oh, McCarthy's pretty safe to come back. What do you make of this whole coaching search for Dallas?
Well, the bottom line is this, and I saw this being the only answer. You don't give him a contract extension at 12-5, 12-5, and 12-5. He tells us in training camp the reason to give him a contract extension last year was because of the loss to Green Bay at home when they were the second seed. Green Bay was the seventh seed, the only second seed to lose to a seventh seed, since this playoff format began. And then you go 7-10. How can you sell bringing back McCarthy? How can you sell that to the fan base? Certainly, they had some discussions last week, but this was the only outcome.
We're kicking around old storylines. One was from December as they were going through the end of kind of a tumultuous season. Stephen Jones had talked to Ian Rappaport, said that, looking at Micah Parsons and maybe how they pay their stars, Micah Parsons has his own avenue to his own podcast that we were just dissecting some of the quotes from Clarence. As we look at the Arizona Cardinals and their need for an edge rusher and upgrading their defensive front seven, in your opinion, would the Cowboys be foolish enough to let somebody like Micah Parsons hit the trade market?
No, I mean, the Cowboys don't let their players go. They don't let their star players go. Unless if you're going to do the Herschel Walker trade, which is how the Cowboys got to Super Bowl prominence in the 90s. If you're going to give them everything, it's something to consider. But no, I mean, that you don't succeed in this business by letting your best players go. I mean, you saw what happened with the Raiders when they got rid of defensive end. They've never replaced a horrible draft under Gruden and those guys, and they still have yet to replace them. Micah Parsons is part of the foundation. But historically, the Cowboys, Jerry Jones, whether it was Dak Prescott, whether it's Des Bryant, whether it's CeeDee Lamb now and Dak, whether it's Romo Witten, they don't let their great players get out the door. And Micah Parsons is somebody you want to build with. You want more. Micah Parsons needs help. You're not going to build a winner by getting rid of your best players, and that's really not on the table for the Cowboys.
How do you envision this contract negotiation to kind of be handled here? He's playing on a 5th-year deal. They exercised it last year. He's come out and said all the right stuff. I'm not going to hold out. I'm going to be at OTAs. Do you anticipate Jerry kind of rewarding him early, or do you anticipate this could be very similar to Dak, that it could almost bleed into the season?
Jerry has his own timeline, as we see. Certainly with the Mike McCarthy negotiations lasting a week, which got them behind the 8 ball, so to speak, in the coaching search. Certainly you look at how they handled Dak and CD. They went into the last minute. They don't do these deals early. They should do these deals early, and Micah Parsons wants to do the deal early, and we'll see if he holds up to the promise of being around without a deal. It's one thing to be around. He said, if I get a deal, definitely I'm going to be around. I'm going to, be there for OTAs and minicamp, which he hasn't been since his rookie year. He hasn't been around in the offseason. He said he's going to make a promise to be around, be a better leader. Certainly getting the deal done helps you do that. But when you're in the middle of negotiations, you take a different tactic. So it will behoove the Cowboys, considering their cap issues and at least ones they talk about, to get a deal done, so you can lower his cap figure. And then maybe you can make some moves in free agency. That's what they need to do. They have so many free agents. They have a lot of guys. They have 20 or more than 20 unrestricted free agents. One thing this team has not been able to get over the top is because they really haven't supplemented what they did in the draft by adding players in free agency. And to do that, they need to get a handle on Micah Parsons' contract. Certainly need to make some moves with Dak's deal, and they can do some things with CD's deal. But if you really, you talk about, being cap strapped and so much pie that they like to spend, and you talk about what you have to pay Mike, and you're going to have to pay him, certainly at the top of the board as far as non-quarterback defensive players. He says he doesn't have to have the most, but I think his agent will say something different during negotiations, and we'll see whether it's the most or second most. It's still going to be a pretty penny.
So real quick, Clarence, you mentioned, Dak, and there's a lot of fan theories on Twitter and the internet about, hey, if they get Dion, then they need to trade up for Shedeur. And I think that would lead a lot of Cardinal fans to say, well, here, let's give you draft capital for Micah Parsons. You could go supplement that. It sounds to me like whether it's Dion or whomever, they are going to inherit the Mike McCarthy Cowboys, meaning Dak and CD and Micah Parsons. That's the expectation. You're going to be asked to win with the stars that were here. It's not, as Micah said on his podcast, like a complete reset, correct?
No, the foundation is here, and that's why it's an attractive job, because you do have a quarterback, you do have a receiver, you have Micah Parsons, you do have some foundational pieces that can help you win. These guys were part of teams that won 12 games in each of the last 3 seasons before 2024, so it's not like, you have a bad roster and bad players and bad quarterbacks. It just kills me with the internet talk, the social media talk of trading Dak. They just signed Dak to the richest contract in sports, in football history for a quarterback. They cannot trade him. Even if they want to trade him, Dak has a no trade clause. Even if he wanted to remove the no trade clause, it's like $100 million in dead cap next year. It's just not even practical. And if Dion decides to take the job, he understands that he's not going to be able to coach his son.
There's so many, as you mentioned, so many outgoing free agents. I'm starting to look at them and think about what they could look like in Cardinal red and white. That's probably a conversation down the road. We're ramping up our draft coverage, as are you guys over at DLLS. It's exciting things going on. Make sure you're checking them out. You're subscribed, just like you are to PHNX Sports, the DLLS Sports on YouTube. Jesse, Clarence, the entire squad over there, Jeff, Joe, Aisha, it's just we're excited to have you guys a part of the family, and thank you so much for your time.
Oh, no problem, man. And shout out to your college crew that came here and just came into our studios and got drunk and everything else doing the Big 12 championship. They had a great time. See,
Clarence,
I could drink on there. I mean, goodness gracious.
I can't wait to see you at the Super Bowl, Clarence. We'll see you in a couple weeks, my friend.
No problem, guys. Thank you.
Clarence, the GOAT of Cowboy reporters. You've seen him on Colin Cowherd. He's been everywhere, and he's part of the All-City family. We're fortunate to have him here in the mix. So he's saying big fat no. Micah Parsons not going to happen. Does that surprise you at all that they want to keep a 26-year-old stud pass rusher?
Yeah, I mean that's a premium position, right? And you got a guy playing at the top of that position. It would just kind of be foolish to relinquish that. Even an organization that sometimes has to be banged over the head. But one thing that they do is Clarence, pointed out, they retain their stars. Like, can you really think of, maybe outside of the running back position where they let like a DeMarco Murray run and it was the right move to let somebody kind of go off and they go find as much success as they did wearing the star as they did not wearing the star.
Never. I can never. And because Jerry's all about being viable, right? And you're not viable, even if you're trying to get, a pass rusher in the draft and you're going to do the conservative thing and just roll picks over. Like Dallas doesn't do rebuilds, and 7 and 10 wasn't good enough for Jerry. You think a new coach is going to come in there and tear it down without Micah Parsons? So we can talk Max Crosby, we can talk Myles Garrett, but I think we can officially, at least for now, cross off Micah Parsons off our list. Bon voyage. Cardinals tried. They had
what
the door.
17 minutes it was, or whatever it was, that we got to live that Micah Parsons.
No, it's not happening.
Yeah, the fever dream that we had, where it was Micah Parsons just, wearing the bird on the side of his helmet and racking up sacks at State Farm Stadium.
Here's what we do on this show. We pose a question, we get it answered, and we move on, right? Is Micah Parsons available? Clarence at DLL saying, no, he is not. What's the latest with Marvin Harrison Jr. amongst his peers, and what do the offensive rookie of the year qualifiers say about MHJ? That's coming up here on PHNX Cardinals. Speaking of coming up, we got watch parties with our friends at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. How about watch parties with our friends on PHNX Sun? Sun just made a banger of a trade, finally adding some defense, some depth, some beef underneath. That's about the extent of my basketball knowledge. I like how he handles himself below the rim. All the cliches, baby.
You have no clue.
If you like what you hear, certainly you're not going to hear that on PHNX Suns, but they're going to give you a real analysis, and they're going to have a blast with you during Gila River Resorts and Casinos Wild Horse Pass. And speaking of our friends at Gila, get ready to rev your engines for the $350,000 Lamborghini Lux giveaway. It's very, very on par with Gila. They do it big. Here's how to win. Play to win every Friday in January and February. You have a chance to win cash, free bonus play, or qualify for the grand finale drawing. Okay, they've got weekly drawings every Friday at 7 p.m. Again, day and a half away. Check it out. Plus, the grand finale. Join us on March 1st at Wild Horse Pass, where one lucky winner will drive away in that sweet, sweet Lamborghini. We get home, I think, from the combine that Friday. I might run over to Wild Horse Pass that next day and see if they'll let your boy give it a test drive. Don't miss your chance right now. This is your opportunity to experience the thrill of luxury and speed. Again, visit every Friday for your chance to win big. You do you at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Visit playatgila.com, Bo, for more details.
Yeah, I've heard Nick Richards referred to as the Lambo of NBA centers. That's what I've heard. Yep, that's
that checks out.
Yeah, it does. Oh man! Also, what checks out is our friends over Verizon doing something that's never been done. That's right, the first time ever. Verizon bringing the Super Bowl experience to every NFL fan base, all the cities in the league across the country. Get ready for Verizon Super Bowl Fan Fest. It's going down Super Bowl Sunday, February 9th. The Great Lawn at State Farm Stadium. Fantastic place. It's like you're tailgating for a game at for the Cardinals, but you get to mingle with NFL legends and our Arizona host. How about the Humble Rumble himself, DJ 31, David Johnson. Live music. Also, you got food from the Valley's own chef, Stacy Weber. And of course, you got the tour of the locker room. You get to try your hand at football challenges, lawn games, and more. Watch the Super Bowl from inside the stadium. No longer do you have to have awkward small talk with the weird Super Bowl party that you got dragged to. No, go find your fun as Verizon does it better than anybody else. The largest simultaneous Super Bowl party ever. And it's free for all Verizon customers. Like myself, for over a decade, I've been repping Verizon. Switch to Verizon. It's overdue at this point. Your local Verizon store. Grab tickets and get all the details. VerizonFanFest.com.
You know, one of the things we didn't ask Clarence was where he believes Mike McCarthy will end up, but I feel like it's already kind of predetermined. The Chicago Bears, which typically send their invites for head coaching interviews via Greyhound bus or a Zoom call, on an Evite or a school bus or whatever, they have flown Mike McCarthy, it sounds private, for an in-person interview. I think I have that right. They are rolling out the red carpet. I don't hate that hiring for the Chicago Bears. It's a safe hiring, as a lot of people have pointed out. And I think that, Ben Johnson to the Las Vegas Raiders, sign me up, baby. A little Ben Johnson with no quarterback in the hardest division in football. Good luck, Ben.
Doesn't Mike McCarthy to the Bears just seem like it's just destined? He is a Bear. He's a big man. He's a big, huge, heavy set man. The McCaskies, we hear all the stuff about how they don't want cussing on Hard Knocks. And you got, Mike McCarthy making an old 90s Austin Powers reference on his respective Hard Knocks. He's just he's that
what was the reference? I never saw that.
I think he had he opened up preseason or training camp with he's like, hey, I saw this movie. It's called Austin Powers, and I want you guys to get your mojo back. There was a reference to that was like his theme. And you're like, are we serious? And when was that? When was Dallas on the last time? It's only
high level stuff,
right? It was
there.
4 years ago, 3 years ago. Yeah.
I like the AI photos of him eating Polish sausages. I think that tracks. So
doesn't he look like one of the super fans?
Yes.
Doesn't he look like he can sit there with Farley?
Yeah,
Polish sausage, talk about Dicka.
That's a good hire for them if they make that hire. No word on if Drew Petzing, our boy,
not Ben Johnson. It's not the splashy move.
I just don't think the Bears have the self-esteem to hire Ben Johnson. I just feel like McCarthy's not going to interview or interfere with Ryan Poles. He's not going to ask for personnel control. And I don't think it's a guarantee that Dallas immediately upgrades. We'll see what happens. I think Dion, respectfully, would be an unmitigated disaster. I do not think that would work. And I'm willing to be proven wrong on that. Were we
feeling that it's really going to be Dion?
I hope not.
I think they're doing each other a favor here.
Sure.
Drawing eyes to the opening, and then also Dion benefits from the Cowboys being interested.
Can I piggyback on this? I think DraftKings takes and other companies take a huge advantage of boosting up the odds of being plus 100 for Dion. It's bound to happen. Right. And then every Cowboys fan bets on it, and then they just rake it in.
Yeah.
Not Bet365. The good folks.
They got their act together. This is a real establishment. Marvin Harrison Jr. was the consensus rookie of the year after week 2 with our friends at Bet365. That did not come to fruition. It will not come to fruition. Why? Because the 2024 Rookie of the Year shortlist has been revealed, I believe, for the NFL Honors Show. And our guy, MHJ, not a part of it. Let's take a look at the list, Bo. And again, I think I can say with full confidence, this draft class, I don't know what that Bo Nix picture is, this draft class, it's lived up to the hype. This is not one of those kind of meat and potato draft classes where you're reaching. Maybe they throw a tackle in here. all of these guys had monster years. Brock Bowers was an all-pro. Neighbors was as good as advertised. Brian Thomas Jr., 10 touchdowns. Both quarterbacks went to the playoffs, and then Bucky Irving was the featured back on a playoff team. Yeah. It is one of the most loaded offensive years in recent memory, whereas the defensive side, it's a little tame. That's what happens when you don't have a defender drafted for 16, 17 picks to begin round one. No MHJ on this list, Bo. Your reaction to that?
Yeah, I mean, I think this was you were anticipating this blow coming pretty much first couple games after the bye.
Yeah,
you were just kind of seeing the writing on the wall, like where a couple of especially his position group players trending in the right direction, and Marv, really having one of those valleys in a season that was filled with peaks and valleys. It really was, just couldn't find that footing consistently throughout the season. Like you mentioned, week 2, that felt forever ago, and then like it was so few and far between. It was week 2, and then it was week 8 against Miami, and then it wasn't again until like when was it again? Like when did he really the Rams game, yeah, right? Where he goes about 98 yards.
He had a good game against the Vikings. He had a touchdown, but again, like the Miami game and the first Rams game were two outings that, fair or not, Lad McConkey, by the way, who's not on that list, and Brian Thomas Jr. and Neighbors, they would have those kind of games every couple of weeks. You'd have one of those kind of games. They'd string those performances together. And we've made our case, Bo, that some of that comes from volume, some of that comes from the team, the structure, the Cardinals offense, and this is where it kind of upsets a lot of Cardinal fans. It does not run through Marvin Harrison Jr. Brian Thomas was the offense for the Jaguars, right? Lad McConkey was the offense at the end of the year for the Chargers. You saw that in the postseason, right? Same with Neighbors, same with Brock Bowers. Drew Petzing's first love is a running back. His second love is a tight end. And then you mix in Marv. I mean, hell, Bo, when we were talking to Michael Wilson yesterday, he's like, yeah, I thought I was going to be a lock for 1,000 yards and double-digit touchdowns. So did we. We thought for sure the baseline for Michael Wilson was about 800-900 yards this year.
Yeah.
There was a ripple down effect that you look around the NFL and the Cardinals, for whatever reason, the entirety of the year, never felt comfortable throwing the football downfield. And this is where there's going to be some casualties from that, right? You're going to hear people, as Michael alluded to yesterday, saying, oh, Marv isn't the guy. Look at these other receivers. They're better than him. I feel like, again, I will buy all the stock for MHJ and go to my grave thinking if Marvin was the featured player on a bad team, Marvin Harrison Jr. has 1,200 yards and 10 touchdowns. You cannot convince me otherwise. It's a very specific circumstance. I believe that led him to have, in our opinion, underwhelming numbers this year.
Yeah, you could find a way to get him, 20 extra catches this season, which gets him closer to what BTJ had, 1,200 yards, 87 catches for 10 touchdowns. I think he eclipses that. But the sad reality of this is we've got the top 6. You had already mentioned somebody that probably even is still ahead of Marv if you extend this list out to 7, probably 8. I think you can make the case for a Jared Verse from the defensive side to get into this conversation, maybe ahead of MHJ. And I think that continues to make the case, like, you can be encouraged, especially by how he finished this season. I mean, the last play from scrimmage for this offense was a Marvin Harrison Jr. touchdown catch, which is great. And then that was, a touchdown performance on the heels of a nearly 100-yard performance the previous week. But to how kind of whelmed we were by his performance being the 4th overall pick, being the consensus #1 wide receiver in a really talent-rich draft. And then also for us to kind of not be able to have him in this offense find their way consistent enough to where he could be, included in this conversation. Like, you really have to you have to talk yourself into it. And you're not, I don't think you're wrong. I'm with you. I'll stay steadfast with you in a lockstep that I do believe it's the right pick, and it's going to prove itself to be the right pick, after the 2024 season and beyond.
You can't convince me the night after the Charger game where it was clear there was disconnect with Marv and Kyler and the coaches. And then Marv has that infamous locker room availability. Remember that? And he said some things about, I'm not having the year I expected to. He was very, very much at a loss for words, right? What did the Cardinals do that next week? They force-fed him the football in Miami because they needed to, and they won the football game because of it, right? And like sometimes I just feel like Drew Petzing, it's that easy. You get James Conner and you get DeMarcano and Trey Benson taken away, and it's like, look, we got to throw the football at the Rams and at home against the 49ers. And look, Marv is really productive. They have to give a little bit this offseason because the Cardinals, the infrastructure, they have a ceiling with running the football. I think we've maxed it out, man.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to be vulnerable running the football next year and you want to go from, what were they, the 5th best rushing team to the 10th or the 12th, but your passing game goes up about 10 spots, I'm all for that. This is a throwing league. I'm sorry. Like, even the best teams that run the football have a complimentary passing game. Yeah. And just listening to Michael Wilson articulated so well yesterday, it's just like, we have to play complimentary football. They didn't this year. They thought they could sell out. They got cute. They took a 3rd-round blocking tight end. They said, we're just going to be able to run the football on everybody. Hey, congratulations. Congratulations on your 160 yards rushing against Washington when you got blown out by 20-plus points.
Right.
Hey, awesome. I'm glad James Conner had a productive second half against the Packers when you got boat raced on the road. Like, sometimes you have to go shot for shot and be able to drive the ball downfield. It's great to be able to run the ball and put teams away in the 4th quarter. It doesn't do you a damn bit of good when you're down 3 touchdowns.
Right.
Because go look at Carolina. That Carolina was there to be won. The defense played their butts off in the second half. Cardinals couldn't get a passing game going against the Carolina Panthers that were picked apart by Cooper Rush. That is not a Marvin Harrison Jr. problem. That is a Cardinal philosophical issue passing the football. Like, there are teams in the NFL would kill for Michael Wilson and Trey McBride, Marvin Harrison Jr. So, as much as I clamor for T. Higgins and upgrades in this passing game, I got people texting me, let's get a speed receiver. I'm all for that. But I have to be proven behind closed doors and then publicly that this offense is going to evolve this year, because if not, then you're wasting these players.
Well, for just the ability to grow and to take the next step, it's necessary. You have to be able to incorporate a better downfield passing game. It's essential for the success for them to go where they want to go, because if it's the status quo, then it's going to be, a carbon copy of this past season. Like, I don't care what upgrades you make to the defense. Like, if you've got a way too conservative offense, you're going to put up, pretty pedestrian amount of points. And sure, you'll have a pop game here and there against just, a team that's terrible. But for the most part, like, are you going to be able to have an offense that's going to be able to go out there and go, tit for tat with one of the better offenses in the league? And I don't think like there was ever really, except for maybe Miami, where the game's like 28-27, there was that, back and forth, and you could feel it maybe the first half against Buffalo. But those were maybe the only 2 occurrences that had happened. And really what Drew Petzing has to learn to do this offseason, as he's shown, he can be this conservative, heavy dose of running, top tier run game, right? It's the highly regimented businessman guy, right? Yeah. He's the guy that gets up at 5:30 in the morning, doesn't miss a workout. He's got a nice little diet here and there. But when it comes, 5 o'clock and the working bell whistle has blown, doesn't know how to let his hair down. You got to be able to learn how to let your hair down. Like, Petzing's got to get his groove back this offseason. And
I'm not sure that's the best analogy for Drew Petzing. The hair, letting his hair down. Can we think of something else? Maybe popping his collar, unbuttoning the top button, Drew.
Targeted.
You think that's that's against his baldness?
Yeah.
Wouldn't you like to just see Drew just roll in and just have a full head of hair? And him just not like field questions about it, not even acknowledge it. He's just got flowing locks.
That would be a lot for me to process. It would be like, who is the coach that has just the ridiculous? I'll tell you what I didn't love. Was it Robert Saleh when he would dye his beard? Like, that's not a good look. I think for Drew, it almost have the same kind of effect of like, oh, Drew, hello, fellow kids. You want to be with every. Let your play calling do the talking. Nobody cares what Andy Reid looks like. We love him. He's Santa Claus, but he can dial up some elite plays downfield. This Cardinal team, I think the most frustrating aspect, and again, I go back to our interview yesterday. Go check it out here at gophnx.com. The Cardinals had the players, in my opinion, to get this done this year. And I look around the NFL, and when Mac Jones and Cooper Rush are putting up big passing games to rookie receivers and to scrub dirt receivers, and Brock Bowers is breaking every record, it's like, Drew, you need to do more. You need to figure out a way to do more.
I mean, but if you look at over, like, especially the Jags and the Raiders, even the Chargers, like, statistically, their offenses weren't better than the Cardinals.
That's fair. But I do think that the Cardinals were in a position with their run game. Like, how the hell do you have a top 5 run game and then your passing game is this bad? The run should set up the pass, right? Like, how are you in a position where, like, hey, look, we got 5 yards on first down running the football, and then we can't complete a pass downfield to Marv?
Shouldn't that open things up?
Right. Make that make sense to me.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, that's why when we talked to Mike yesterday, and he's saying, like, if he's an offensive play caller himself, he wants that same balance because it should. Theoretically, it should complement very well. But it's like, it hasn't. It hasn't found. You haven't found that rhythm, right? You haven't been able to kind of find that pattern where it's like, okay, we run the ball. They start to stack the box a little bit, and then we get the explosive downfield. And you got Mike, and he's got the stats right there at his disposal. Like the previous year, weren't they could find some explosives in the pass game?
Yeah,
but they didn't have as many as in the run game, and then they flipped it. Right, they flipped the script this past season. Now it's like, hey, don't revert back. Find some middle ground. Like if you get enough explosives in the pass game and the explosives in the run game, you're going to be a steady, consistent offense.
Let me ask you a question that I think I already know the answer to. We fast forward to 2026. The Cardinals passing game, again, has an uneven year. Who's most likely to be around of these
this
three?
Upcoming season, you mean?
Yep. Who's the most likely?
Yeah.
Who's the most likely to be around? Petzing, Kyler Murray, or Marvin Harrison Jr.?
I mean, most likely to be around Marvin Harrison Jr.
100%. 100%. So it's like, if you're Drew Petzing and Kyler Murray, it behooves you to figure this out. I mean, you're year to year with Kyler Murray at this point, and you're year to year with Drew Petzing. I mean, as much as we want to believe Petzing's an ascending star.
I see coach. Eric here in the chat, and he's saying T. Higgins helps in the red zone. Like, absolutely. No doubt about it. T. Higgins would be a force in the red zone. But the Cardinals already have enough players to where they should be a successful red zone offense.
But isn't that an indictment of the play caller then?
It's an indictment on something. If you can't figure it out, where you got Trey McBride, Marvin Harrison Jr., Michael Wilson, James Conner, and you're settling for field goals, and the threat of Kyler Murray's legs. It was does it? I don't think it helps you. I mean, you're rewarding somebody that's already underperforming. You're rewarding an offense like at some point you have to say what is it really going to take? Is it really going to take fielding the dream team out there for you guys to run successful red zone offense? And yeah, you're right that you have to find out why it's not clicking.
So we threw that kind of grenade of T. Higgins last week, and it made its way on the Twitter street. Yes, me alone. And our guy Cam Cox, Channel 12, quote tweeted somebody asking, why would the Cardinals invest in more pass catchers? And Cam was very staunchly committed to it was the biggest weakness on the team. And I do think that a lot of people share that sentiment, but some people think it's personnel related. Some people think it's quarterback related. I think you and I, as much as like T. Higgins that would be awesome if they signed him. I think you and I have been pretty consistent in our philosophy that you should have enough here. Your offensive line is good enough. Your backs are good enough. Good hell. The continuity that the Cardinals are going to bring back next year offensively, I would say is going to be unrivaled 90% of the NFL. Quarterback, top 2, maybe top 3 receivers, tight end. Your top 3 tight ends are all under contract right now, making no money. All your backs are signed, right? Even your practice squad guys. Your offensive line is solidified for the most part, 3 of the 5 spots, maybe 4 of the 5 if Kelvin Beachum comes back. Like, you should, like, we ought to go into September, Bo, and it should look like, at least to start the season, am I crazy to say it should look like 2021, where it's like Kyler had 2 years with Cliff, and then year 3, it was like, boom, he's got what, 20 plus touchdowns in 9 games. If it's not that, I think I'm going to be pissed off. The rest of us are going to be like, what? You guys used the entire offseason, you ran it back. That's what it has to look like. You need to, I don't care who you open up against, whether it's the Rams or the 78 Pittsburgh Steelers, you need to go out there and have a crooked number offensively. I don't think it's good enough to just say, hey, we got to build toward this.
What did Mike say yesterday? It's like, we're pushing all our chips in the middle of the table for next season, because if it doesn't work next season in year 3, what are we doing? If you don't fight, like, if the offense doesn't figure it out, if the defense doesn't, like, all parties involved now at this stage, as far as their, like, the places they can turn to, they can run to, they don't have anywhere to run at this point. And like, that's like, they've done a good enough job overall to give themselves the benefit of the doubt. Like, we've seen the progress, the incremental progress, 4 wins, changing the culture, locker room vibes are good. People like their head coach. You're starting to see things change as far as how the organization is perceived, outside of Arizona. They make a jump as far as wins. They're playing important December football. Sure, they fall short, but this next step, man, like, if things aren't accomplished, like actual, big steps, like a playoff appearance, and games are won, and critical mistakes aren't made to handicap that. If it doesn't get there, then the group that we know to be right now, there's going to be changes, and hopefully it's not in the form of wholesale changes, but if it gets to the point where they don't achieve what they want to and make the progress from this year to next, there's going to be heads will roll.
We're making changes here at PHNX Cardinals via our 2-round mock draft. That's coming up.
Yeah.
Plus your super chats. There will be trades coming up here. Drop a like. It's PHNX Cardinals. I'll tell you when I'm not trading, Bo, is our relationship, our friends, my credit union, Desert Financial Credit Union. Never trading them away. DesertFinancial.com right now. For more than 84 years, Desert Financial has been Arizona's largest, most trusted local credit union. They're hooking you up with so much good stuff right now. They've got a team of financial experts committed to their members, offering financial solutions tailored to helping real-life people like me, like you, anybody right now. They've got checking accounts, savings accounts, mortgages, credit cards, investment options. They've got loans. You're looking to take out a loan. Plus, you see it on the screen. Rep the Arizona Cardinal Visa debit card. They got the player, the helmet, or the bird. Arizona sports fans, you have found your credit union. Look no further. Again, open up a free checking account online and get an Arizona Cardinal Visa debit card. Go to desertfinancial.com/CardinalsBo to get started.
Tough to beat any 3 of those cards. I just like the one on the left, the one with the helmet. I like that one the best.
It's a great one.
Also, I love our friends over at Colt Cannabis, and that they are teaming up with our friends at True Leave. Check out all the True Leave locations, including a brand new location in Maricopa that just opened a couple days ago. Our friends, though, at Colt Cannabis are now available in True Leave and have a huge variety of premium flower. That's right. All your baking goods with cannabis you can find from our friends at Colt Cannabis in your local True Leave location. Exclusive magic marker Valley's been asking for, and she's back. Visit TrueLeave.com to find your local shop near you and place an order and tell them friends over at PHNX Cardinals told you about him. Yeah, Johnny Venerable, he told me that you can find the best magic marker flower at your
Don't name drop me. They hate me in Maricopa, but they love you and they love our friends there. Call Cannabis.
All right. Well, regardless, great flower, hard to find, but our friends at Colt Cannabis have been dropping absolute fire, including here in the studios at PHNX. We got it anywhere you turn, you can find it. That magic marker strain. Be sure to check out the new True Leave location, Maricopa, and also go over to TrueLeave.com to find your local shop and place an order and tell them Johnny Venerable specifically sent you from PHNX Cardinals.
None of that needs to happen, but here's what needs to happen. You need to drop a like on this video. The goal, we got 600 people watching live Everybody jump on over, watch the stream, give us a big thumbs up. It helps us exponentially grow the show, helps us get elite guests like Clarence, like Mina Kimes, like all of our tremendous guests throughout the course of the year. And it's guest season. Wait till you see the array of guests we've got coming up.
Can't wait, including our new All-City draft expert, analyst, Fran Duffy. So Fran today dropped his first of many mock drafts. This guy is just cooking as far as his prospect breakdowns. Well over 150 prospects he's analyzed already. He's putting it together. You're going to be able to find more magic at gophnx.com. But you got to check out his first mock draft because Johnny felt like he knocked it out of the park as far as the Cardinals selection at 16th overall. You got to be a diehard to check it out. We're going to talk to Fran, I think, going forward here starting next week and get his analysis. And he'll join us from places like the Senior Bowl. We'll catch up with him at the Combine. But Fran Duffy, if you haven't already, make sure you're following along on Twitter. He's got all the great insight and is including his first mock draft that's up and live at gophnx.com. That's right. PHNX Cardinals is welcoming our guy Fran Duffy, the NFL draft analyst at FDuffy NFL on X and Twitter.
I wonder if anybody's ever called him Duff Man, and I wonder if he hates if I do that. But here's what he's going to be the man at the Senior Bowl here coming up, and hopefully we can get some boots on the ground analysis about one Cam Scattaboo and how quickly we can get Cam in Cardinal red and white. Excited about Fran and give him a follow. Chatting it up with him next week. Let's chat with you all via Super Chats before we jump in to our 2-round mock draft. How about Ben, the Cardinals fan? 199 getting us kicked off. Cardinals are meeting with prospects at the Hula Bowl, according to Ben, Cardinals fan. We appreciate that little nugget. Bo, have you seen anything as it relates to prospect, not workouts necessarily, but prospect meetings with the Cardinals? Anything to take away in this early going?
Not yet. No, I mean, it's not on my radar just yet, but Ben, the Cardinals fan, keeping us up to date. That the Cards are out there. Our friend Baldy, is he involved in the Hula Bowl again? We love it. Yeah, we will keep you up as far as top 30 visits, who the Cardinals are meeting with, what we're hearing. But as of right now, nothing as far as prospects the Cards have met with just yet.
Red Sea $5 super chat. Question for you guys. Ball poses to you. With the emergence of Rabbit, Taylor, Demerson, could you see Jalen Thompson being traded this offseason for extra draft capital?
Be curious what Jalen Thompson would fetch as far as extra draft capital. I know he's really beloved by his teammates, coaching staff. You're a year removed from Jonathan Gannon saying, he's one of those guys that if you want to learn how to be a pro, just watch him go to work. So he's in the final year of his deal. And I don't know if you would find draft capital that would make sense, like if it would match the performance you would get from him this season. I don't know because there's going to be safeties available and people could get their hands on one, get one on their roster without having to give up draft capital. I don't know if it makes sense to part ways with JT for just a little extra draft capital.
We have it pretty well sourced on the show. He suffered an injury. He played through it all year, and he had 5 interceptions 2 years ago. I think the bigger question, Red Sea, is if you're Jonathan Gannon and Nick Rallis, can you successfully deploy all 3 safeties? And if the answer to that is yes, then you keep him. If the answer to that is no, then my question is, then why'd you draft Taylor Demerson? Because you extended Buddha, and Buddha forced the issue. So I think because Jalen Thompson's not only signed through this year, I think he's got a couple of years left on his deal. So for me, I feel like, number one, I agree with Bo. I don't think anybody's trading for safeties, no matter who they are. Justin Simmons was available, for God's sakes, and was a free agent well into the summer. How cap strapped are they going to be to save some money? I don't think too much. I think the Cardinals are in a position of keeping good players, and I think our guy Jalen Thompson is a good player that you want to keep around. Kyler Plummer, $5. No receivers, just improve the O-line to give K1 more time. I agree with that. I think improving the interior is a big factor, but here's what I'll push back, Kyler. The Cardinals' offensive line was lights out this year. Save for the Seattle games, they were one of the best units in the NFL, pass and run blocking. They allowed 30 sacks this year. So I think if you want to put the blame on anybody, maybe it's the play caller, the quarterback, or the receivers not separating. I have a hard time believing the Cardinals offensive line. I think it can get like higher end players, but like it's the best coached unit on the team, in my opinion.
Yeah, it absolutely is. Let's keep it going with our guy. Paintball Gaming, 1999. Very generous super chat. Yeah, thanks, man. Keeping it local here with Arizona State defensive back with the Cardinals draft, Shamari Simmons. He's a guy that I think is either MVP on the defensive side of the football for the last couple seasons. I would see him as like if they had a late round pick, maybe. I don't know if defensive back becomes a priority just because of the kind of embarrassment of riches that they've added within the last 2 drafts. Defensive front 7. That's really the what the Cardinals need to focus on as far as this draft goes.
Cardinals like their secondary. I mean, it's been built over a couple of years from Ossenfort, save for Buddha and Jalen, and it's ready to explode. You need, to my co-host point, bodies up front, and we're going to get some bodies here in this mock draft.
The kind of the criteria, right? A guy that's played a lot of college football, has been super productive. If they were, looking to add a young player to that later in the draft, sure.
I just feel like as long as Jalen's on the team, you don't need another safety. If Jalen's off the team, I think they should draft another safety. Damon, Dawg, you've got a Shaft super chat from the other day. You want to read off, my guy?
Yeah. So getting our guy Shaft back from a super chat that was missed. So he sent me one and said, Marv is just fine. I think it was because of the offensive scheme that Petzing ran with a passing game that pushes the ball down the field. You'll see MHJ soar. Just look at how Stafford opened the game Monday. We have to have a more balanced attack and no more nickel and dime passing. Love the show. You guys are the best.
Shaft, you're the best. It was great to see you at Monday Night Football, and hope to see you this offseason, my guy. I just think, to hit to Shaft's point, pushing the ball downfield, crossing routes, Marv couldn't be covered on crossing routes this year. I think you lean into what he does best, and then you let the rest of his route tree kind of blossom. But he led the NFL in crossing route receiving yards, and where especially smaller defensive backs like Michael kind of alluded to this yesterday, Bo, where it's like you just see him out there at 6'4", and he just does so many things well. And you have greater appreciation when you can kind of sit back and watch that. What's tough about watching Marv, like during a game or not watching him, it's like you're focused on Kyler until he delivers the ball, and we don't see everything that leads up to that. But for this regime and for this infrastructure and this new addition of the Cardinals to work, this new incantation, Marv has to work. They can't miss on Marv. So they got it's. You have to find a way. The best coaches find a way to maximize your great players.
Yeah. Just got the Senior Bowl head coaches and coaching staffs announced. Doesn't look like the Cardinals have any kind of. They don't have anybody on that staff. Your boy Mike Kafka is going to be one of the coaches, and a Browns assistant head coach, special teams coordinator.
Mike Kafka said,
Bubba Ventrum.
Mike's like, I saw these quarterbacks this draft, and I said, yeah, let me get my hands on them, baby. Is he still the OC for the Giants?
Yeah.
So that tracks. They're looking for
run it back.
Yeah.
How could you not run it back after last season?
Kafka plus these quarterbacks with the Giants. Yeah, sign me up, baby. Turn me all the way up. Let's do it. We got a 2-round mock draft that's coming up right around the corner here on PHNX Cardinals. Turn me up for how about just trucking season? I'm fired up. I'm looking for a new vehicle, Bo. Now, some people earlier in the show, when we brought up the Lamborghini, they said you'd need a lift kit for a Lamborghini, which I took offense to. Here's what I'll say. Sanderson Ford, they've got a lift kit on standby for your boy, so I can compete with one Bo Brack on any of their new vehicles. But right now, PHNX is a proud sponsor of Sanderson Ford as our vehicle partner. Drive into the new year in a Ford from Sanderson Ford. Again, they've got makes and models 2025 and beyond. Sanderson has 28 to choose from with discounts up to $10,000 off. Purchase a new Edge for only $35,995. They also have hundreds of quality trade-ins during their end-year sale, plus 25 pre-owned vehicles with a warranty under $25,000. For all the best deals in 2025, drive into the new year. Get your lift kit for Johnny Venerable and Bo Brack in the Ford, Arizona's most trusted dealership. It's Sanderson Ford.
That's right. Johnny Venerable, truck guy, no doubt about it. Also, like if you're in the market for a new home, how about Carol Royce? Over 3 generations right now, operated, family members serving the Valley of the Sun, over 12,000 homes. The Valley's fan and favorite real estate team, the Carol Royce team. Your home sold guarantee realty. If you don't know much about Carol Royce, it's time to figure it out, because you got most real estate agents out there making big promises, but Carol Royce gives written guarantees. Buyers can rest easy knowing that you're not just making the right choice with Carol Royce in a real estate agency, but you're making that guaranteed one. Love your home, or Carol will buy it back. That is unbelievable. If you're looking to buy your dream home, you've probably been looking on Zillow, Realtor.com. Did you know with Carol Royce, you can access thousands of off-market homes that you won't find online? Don't delay any longer. Give Carol Royce and her squad a call at 480-776-5231. That's 480-776-5231. And check them out. If you're considering buying a home here in 2025, the name to trust is Carol Royce. Your home sold guaranteed realty. Move up to one of their listings and we'll buy their home for cash. Have questions? Call today. Visit Carol online at carolroyceteam.com. That's carolroyceteam.com.
We're fired up here. Everybody drop a like on a football Wednesday. Just a couple more weeks. We've got full Senior Bowl coverage, of course, Super Bowl and Combine. And I'm jealous. I'll say it. Sun's making trades today. I see that, and I see what you've done for other people, sports gods, and I want that for myself, and I want that for the Arizona Cardinals. Before we jump into this 2-round mock draft, Bo, we're going to keep it 2 rounds. We're not going to go 3 rounds here, but trade parameters are in place. Are we open to trading current players on the Arizona Cardinals?
Sure.
Okay. I want everybody's opinion. Who is a player that maybe the Cardinals could part with? Let's throw it in the chat here before we get started. We're going to open up the chat. Any singular player that you would like to make available ahead of the NFL draft here in our mock draft, throw it into the chat, and let's get started. By the way, if you're watching with one of our many fabulous streaming partners, jump on over to gophnx.com here. You don't want to miss out on this draft. We got 627 people watching live. Come on over, check out the mock draft, and smash that like button. All right, let's do it here. This is where the fun begins because I'm in control. Sharing my screen here. Bo, can you see what I got going on?
Yeah, I already regret all this.
We're gonna go.
Takes me back to last year.
Just a man drunk with power.
Yeah, just old itchy trigger finger Venerable over there.
We've only just begun. Look at how gross this is.
It's like, what do you guys think about this? Oh, I've already selected him.
All right. I don't anticipate we'll be trading up, but we're gonna enter this bad boy here. Just the same cast of characters every year. At least the Cardinals aren't in. They're slumming it up. Titans, Browns, Giants, Pats, Jags, Raiders, Jets, Panthers, Saints, Bears. Poor Bears. Bears went on a 10-game losing streak, picking 10th in the draft. Times are tough. Bo, would you like to trade up? Is there any inclination to trade up by Bo Brack?
No.
Okay.
This is the feel out time of draft season for me. Just want to see how the board falls. There's nobody like I've fallen in love with that I feel like there's got to be some urgency to get up the draft board, but that will materialize. We'll identify guys that I think, the Cardinals should be willing to get up the board for. But right now, I'm just playing the field.
I love that. Love playing the field. All right, we're starting the draft. Cam Ward, Shador, Abdul Carter, McMillan, our boy Mason Graham. Usual suspects. Travis Hunter to the Jets. Jalen Walker to the Saints. Genty to the Niners. That's a bit of a reach. You'd love to see that. Will Campbell goes. The Arizona Cardinals.
Hate it. I'm kind of terrified by that.
What's that?
Genty in San Francisco?
You're taking it back. 11th overall. You got a bunch of needs. That I don't sweat that. Josh
He's a
Simmons
chill guy, Damon. He doesn't sweat the stuff like the top running back going to the top rushing offense.
He's not my top running back.
With the Shanahan.
If they have that much conviction in picking Ashton Genty, that should scare people.
Well,
right?
just look at the receipts for Johnny when they got Christian McCaffrey.
I remember doing that.
Everything.
When we did that live show, I was convinced that was not going to work out, that was one of the grossest overpays. And listen, they got one elite season out of him, but his legs have never been the same since. So maybe I was right. Some folks are saying I was right. All right. Cardinals on the clock here. I can already tell you when I'm sniffing around here, but Egbuka,
yeah,
am I pronouncing that correctly? I think I am. Is he on your radar? There's been some Cardinal fans saying if he falls to 16, we should consider him. So you're completely off a receiver.
Hard pass on wide receiver in the first round.
Okay. So I think we have some really good options here if we want to stick and pick.
I do like our options. I really do.
Calvin Banks plays left tackle for them. Their right tackle is atrocious. He just declared, however, and got his drum beat against Ohio State. Calvin Banks was opposite Christian Jones and has played left tackle and protected Quinn Ewers for the better part of 3 seasons. He is easily the best player available. And then we go down a little bit. I'm not interested in a corner this high. So then we're going to look at.
I think he's great, though.
AZ boy.
What's up? That's right. Yep. Benjamin Morris is a local product, but it's not a need. And I think there's some other premium positions, like you just identified one at the tackle spot that I think that the Cardinals should prioritize, even over a really good defensive back here in Morrison. Like this next guy from Georgia.
Mikael Williams, good player, can line up all over, as you can see, the defensive line. And again, he doesn't have robust statistics in terms of, sacking the quarterback. Is he a conventional edge rusher? Is he somebody that can kick inside? It's just a really good football player, as is Kenneth Grant. I would have no issue taking a Kenneth Grant as a defensive tackle. Yeah. This is the kind of player that I think would thrive next to Darius Robinson. Darius is a little bit more violent and has a little bit higher upside in terms of rushing the passer. Kenneth Grant, to me, just does everything really well.
Yeah. And then my ex-wife has snuffed you out, knows exactly who you're looking for, saying Johnny looking at Jack Sawyer down there, the 27th ranked prospect.
Well, if we're looking at numbers exclusively, he has the best overall grade of any player available. He has the highest sacks right now, 10 sacks. And he just put together the biggest ass kicking in recent memory of Texas. Look at that game right there, almost a 90 grade. So if it would
help
make
when you have a scoop and score, that really raises your grade. Just
hey,
so
Bo,
you know.
Let me ask you a question. I'm going to put you on the spot. Bo Brack, how many defensive touchdowns did the Arizona Cardinals have in 2024?
They were not gifted one by Quinn Ewers at the end of the college football playoff semifinal.
That was a gift.
So they didn't have any.
It was the trifecta. He sacked him. He recovered the fumble. He forced it, and he picked it up and ran for a touchdown.
Yeah.
A gift.
Got rid of the ball.
Yeah.
Scrub there. I can't believe we're.
Well, it's fourth down in that situation. But yeah, you got to give your playmakers a chance.
But he had a rusher straight in his face. Like it wasn't like it was like off the blind side.
It was like
yes.
That you feel like
he
that
looked
was a layup. I am open to a trade back targeting Jack Sawyer. And I think anybody who pushes back on that is wrong. Let's look at what's available via trade. Well, Chargers are open to moving up, and look at that for the 22nd best player for pick 22. I mean, what can we do here, Bo? Could we nab pick 54? How do you feel about that?
So you're getting their second round pick?
You are, and we're probably not going to.
Yeah, it's not basically a third. It's a late second.
Yeah. So let's. Are you open to that?
Sure.
All right. So 122 is probably a little rich. So we're just going to offer straight up 16 for 22 and 54. The trade has been accepted. So we're going to resume the draft. Okay. However, I want to make sure that we do have a chance to get Jack Sawyer. So far.
No. That's not we're holding out for Jack Sawyer.
Jack Sawyer has not gone yet. Steeler, he is available. So we are thriving here. We have added pick 54. Jack Sawyer is available, as is Stewart, the edge rusher from Texas A&M. He only has 2 sacks. average it over 3 years. I'm going to go and say the hardest of hard passes to Shamir Stewart. Bo, I'm gonna let you decide here.
Yeah, I hate myself that we put ourselves in this position. Actually, should have probably stayed put. I will not be the one to do this. So,
okay, I will happily do it. For the third straight year, the Arizona Cardinals have drafted an Ohio State player in the first round. They get the ultimate effort player, the ultimate stalwart, J.J. Watt, T.J. Watt, Jared Allen, however you want to label him. He is going to come in here and be a gamer opposite Max Crosby or Hassan Reddick. Jack Sawyer, Arizona Cardinal, pick 22. How we living, Cardinal fans? Is the chat just loving it? Am I just being showered with praise?
I feel the most regret I've ever had in allowing you to trade down. I don't know what I was doing. Ben, the Cardinals fan, loves it. He dropped 3 consecutive W's in the chat. Mr. Fat Gangster saying slobbering Johnny. Rockland saying mid. Junior saying Harmon is like with Lopez and Darius would be feed families. Digital Dust saying mid as well. G Jeter saying
mid.
G Jeter wanted Mike Green. My ex-wife says the worst GM.
Yeah, it literally couldn't have matched up better.
Let's just say that.
He was the 22nd rated player, and we were picking 22nd. It's not like it's a reach.
You know that these rankings are a little cavalier right now.
They're much better than they were a year ago.
Ozzy, Johnny giving me Rand Carthon vibes.
All right. Well, Jack Sawyer is a Cardinal, whether you like it or not. And I think now we have to ask the question, Bo. You've insured yourself an extra pick. Okay. The Cardinals have a 3rd round pick. We're not going to use it. We have pick 47 and 54. Do you feel comfortable, and don't laugh at this, using either of these picks on Cam Scatterbill?
No. No. I will not have this show exist if that's what we do. If we use one of those 2 picks on this. If it turns into Johnny's personal playground where he gets to just pick any player and not really care where they truly should be, selected, like Jack Sawyer should be a 2nd round pick. You took him in the 1st, and Cam should be in the 3rd, and you're going to take him in the 2nd. Like, I don't want to be a part of that.
He's not even on here. I can't even draft him
already.
Oh my God, did he go already? Cam Scatterbill went to the Niners.
He's a Niner.
They went back-to-back running backs.
Oh,
be afraid.
This is gross. So the Niners took 2 running backs.
They're running.
What are your sliders at for this?
That's the only way you can maximize Brock Purdy wing tee offense with Genty and Scatterbill. All right. Well, pouring out for
Scatterbill is null and void. The Niners have taken 2 running backs in the 1st round.
Can somebody read this player from Mississippi? Princely? Is that what that guy's name is? That's pretty wild. All right. So Bo mocked me for taking potentially Scatterbill.
Dane Brugler actually had the Cardinals taken in the 2nd round in his mock today.
Scatterbill?
No. Princely at Ole Miss.
Scatterbill is not a Cardinal. Pour one out, and he was not overdrafted. That's right around where I expect him to go. All right, Cardinals on the clock now, Bo. I took Jack Sawyer. You were on the clock. You and Damon here. Gunnar Helm an option? Another tight end for Drew Petzing? Why the hell not?
You're going to have to help me out here because the screen is so small.
Okay. We've got an edge rusher from Louisville, the best available player. It's a great year for edge rushers, and then there's a little bit of a drop-off. There's some receivers available. Dylan Sampson, the running back out of Tennessee, who's a great player. Doesn't look like, Cameron Williams was atrocious at the end of the year. Look at that grade against teams that have NFL players. Get away from me, Cameron Williams. I would say right now, unless you want to double up on an edge rusher, maybe this defensive tackle, Omar Norman Lott out of Tennessee. A bunch of ASU transfers. Did not play well against Ohio State, but here's what I do like. 13 hurries, 9 QB hits, 5 sacks. My guess is with, 6'3", 315, so a pure defensive tackle. He's a senior. I don't love that pick either. I mean, I don't know if I hate necessarily doubling up on edge rushers with how bad that room is, Bo.
Yeah, if we could scroll down just a little bit, continue to look at who's remaining on the board.
I mean, these are some reaches now. We're getting into Iowa safety territory, which scares the hell out of me. Are you open to looking at the best available wide receiver, Savion Williams, out of TCU? We're looking at a grade of 78.3. Okay, you're not interested in that. Look what he did to poor Damon, sweet baby Damon's U of A, 83.9. Xavier Restrepo, very productive, 2 straight 1,000-yard receiving seasons.
No, we don't. Not taking a wide receiver in the second round, John.
Tell me who you want then.
So yeah, we want to continue to build the defensive front seven.
Okay.
So since you took kind of a guy who's got some limitations athletically, let's maybe get somebody that's got some nice traits here.
A toolsy guy, perhaps.
Yeah, a toolsy guy, because Sawyer doesn't have the tools.
You're a tool for saying that. These first 2 edge rushers are like Sawyer. They're ACC high effort guys, but they are not SEC freaks. Now, this kid out of Boston College, I'm not going to pretend like I watched a lot of Boston College football. 14 sacks this year. You into that? 20 quarterback.
I am into that. Productive.
Yeah. Did really well against some of the better schools he faced. Really gave our boy Kyle McCord, some grief there in Pittsburgh. I say let's double up on edge rushers. 6'2", 247. You couple this now with a free agent pass rusher.
I would prefer the big kid out of Tennessee, but if you want to double down on edge rushers, it's your draft. You've already ruined it, so go ahead.
No, that's fine. We're going to let Bo pick this. That's fine. So we're going defensive lineman out of Tennessee, Omar Norman Lott, to have him go next to Darius Robinson. We're coming back on the clock here at pick 54. You can see here Cardinals needs guard, tackle, defensive lineman. Hey, the edge rusher I wanted still available. How about that?
Angel breaking it down pretty accurately, saying JV just drafted Dennis Gardeck and Jesse Lucchetta.
Come on. That's not what's happening at all. I don't like these available tackles. Let's Boston College, Minnesota. Anything stand out to you here, Bo? I picked 54.
So you'll never be on Williams, the tackle from Texas. You think he's just damaged goods. You can't come back from taking him.
I think he's got undrafted free agent written all over him as we get closer to the draft. He was not a starter. He was a developmental kid behind Christian Jones. He started this year, and I did not put in a great season. And he's already declared he should have came back. I can't believe he declared for the draft. So yeah, I'm not. You talk about toolsy. He's got all the tools, but he hasn't put them all together yet. I say we take this kid out of Boston College. I think you go D-end, D-tackle, D-end.
How did he perform against the decent schools in the ACC?
UNC fired their coach. So let's ignore that. Who won the ACC this year?
Clemson. SMU was good.
He had a tough game against SMU, their quarterback.
Syracuse was okay.
14 sacks.
Missouri is pretty good. That's in their non-conference.
Did he get most of his sacks against Duquesne? Like, who did he perform well against?
Florida State. Florida State had a good year.
Shocker. He had a good game against the Hilltoppers. Crappy Michigan State.
I'm looking up his game log.
Yeah, let's see. I mean, the 14 sacks. Who did he get against, Damon?
3.5 sacks versus Pitt, 2 versus UNC, 2 versus Syracuse, 1 versus Virginia, 3 versus Western Kentucky, 2 versus Michigan State, 1 versus Mizzou, 2 versus Florida State.
I mean, I've seen enough. That's a diversified resume for me. For a kid who, listen, Cardinals don't have any juice off the edge. Are we snuffing our noses at a kid who's got 14 sacks, all be in the ACC?
So you're adding Sawyer, your first round pick.
Yep.
The mix of Zaven Collins. You're hoping they're going to add an edge in free agency, right?
I think you add edge in free agency, and you add
BJ Ojulari. Your dream? Are you keeping your dream alive for Hassan Reddick too? Like, how many edge rushers are you going to have on the roster?
Johnny wants a 53-man roster full of edge
I am so disgusted. Last year's edge rusher group was so atrocious. I was so sick to my stomach looking at that depth chart. Sorry, I want to add some capable people in there, but that's fine. We can pivot off of him. But again, who are you going with?
Schaff is asking us to take a look at the West Virginia tackle.
Okay. Where is that at here? I got to go to tackles here.
Yep.
Bad year for interior so far. There's Jonah's.
He's good.
Damon's boy.
I actually think he'll be gone by this Cardinals pick, and once it gets around draft season.
The West Virginia tackle is not thought of very highly, Shaft.
Unless he already went off the board.
That's true. He could have already gone, or they might have him as an interior offensive lineman, which is possible. I'm not seeing him. Oh, yeah, here he is. He went 33 to the Browns, Shaft. So not an option for the Cardinals. Can I quickly look, Bo, at the interior? So we've got a guard from Bama, Tyler Booker.
Tate Rutledge is good too.
Yes, he is.
He's a 2-year starter. He looks like just a guy. I mean, he's got 6'5", 325, but PFF doesn't love him. This is one of the more mid Bama teams. Tate Rutledge, this would be a little bit of a reach in my opinion, but
why?
Dominated Texas. Well, look, he's the 89th ranked player. We're picking 54. I don't know.
It's January.
It is January. They had like Jaden Daniels 23rd or something at this point last year.
So you're comfortable. I mean, I don't hate this pick. Hey, how long has he been a starter for? Was he hurt this year though, Damon? How many games did he miss? Missed some time. 3-year starter though.
I kind of like the kid out of U of A.
You want to do a homer pick? I don't know.
Have you guys seen Tate Rutledge?
Big boy.
Have you seen what he looks like? He's got like the dirtiest mullet you've ever seen in your entire life. He just looks like a stud. But
Damon,
I think Jonah's gonna be great.
How does Jonah compare to the tackle that went last year to the Packers?
Well, I think they're different players. Jordan Morgan was more of a athletic type build, and Jonah is more of like a size type of guy, in my opinion. Not that he's not athletic, but he's huge. Jonah came in as a true freshman and started, which is incredibly hard to do in college football.
Yeah.
He's been consistent, and he's played guard and tackle for Arizona. Probably, I don't know if he projects better as a tackle in the NFL, to be honest with you. I think he might kick inside, but I do think he's gonna be a very good player.
I'm just so down on your program, Damon, because of what I saw this year. But again, McMillan,
so you wouldn't draft T-Mac then if you were
no,
a team?
I was just about to make a point. Like these guys, you got to burn the tape. It's like Hassan Reddick with the Jets this year. You got to burn the tape. The situation was so toxic. So I'm fine with that. You want to go Jonah? How do you pronounce his last name, Damon? Savanea. Bo, you comfortable with that pick? Right tackle?
Sure. I already hate this draft, so I've been out on it for a while. You put the finishing touches on it. Let's just flush this one and move on to the next one, which is next week.
This show may not make it through draft season. Bo and I are so in the opposite ends. After last year, all of us being lockstep with Marv. This year,
your love affair with Jack Sawyer is disturbing.
Oh, sorry.
How did we grade out?
We got an A- via our friends at Pro Football Focus. Arizona Cardinals. We got an A for Sawyer. Well. A B+ for Omar Norman Lott, and then Jonah. Really very reminiscent of my report cards. A straight C. But an A- if you average those out, which I don't know if that tracks at all. But yeah, it's been a fun mock draft today.
Yeah, Rafa, I think he nails this the ranking here. It's a solid 2 out of 10 draft.
Here's where I want to push back to some people.
Yeah,
this edge class is good. Cardinals are also picking 16, and the rest of this draft is mid. There are not superstar quarterbacks. There are not superstar skill players, in my opinion. Last year, the Cardinals had a great opportunity to get better in the first round, and I think they did with Darius and Marvin.
Yeah.
And those became household names. Marvin was a household name before the draft. How many household names are in this draft? This draft, I'm just going to tell you right now, you may not love who the Cardinals take early. That doesn't mean they can't be a good player, but I remember the taste in everybody's mouth when they drafted Zaven Collins. It could be one of those years where you're like, oh, I got to talk myself into a guy. I hope not, but this is not a, what do you call it? Showstopper blockbuster draft. This is a draft where you might have to feel a little gross afterwards. But Jack Sawyer, come on.
Yeah.
Pick 22 and you had a second.
You did set that tone. I feel disgusting. Feel gross in the shower. I'm actually going to probably do multiple mock drafts tonight to just kind of
palate cleanse
this one out of my system.
That's fine. You know what? You want to disrespect a young man that puts it all out there for his team, that is the consummate pro. I can't wait until he just destroys Notre Dame, and then you have to come on this show and be like, I just don't see it. He just dominates every. I just don't see it. That's fine. You remind a little bit of Clay Matthews in his game. I just keep rattling off pro comps here. Ozzy, I need a shower.
They all have a common. There's something common there. The players you keep on rattling off.
You know, it'd be very poetic if they got Max Crosby and then they got Max Crosby's clone and Jack Sawyer. Red Sea, $2.
Not even close.
$2 super set. He's saying Jonah projects as a guard. I don't have a problem with that. Cardinals need guards. They need a right tackle. Thank you for the super chat. So did I put you in a bad mood? I feel like we were having a good show before that.
A little bit. I mean, you had the Jack Sawyer love affair that you announced your bromance with him last week, and then of course you get a little lightning in the bottle in the college football semifinal, and he looks like a Lego man with his stride running down the field for the scoop and score. And you're like, he's him. We need him. That's the next Arizona Cardinals great defender. And now we're gonna have to put up with it for days, months.
I'm kind of, I don't know, but Bo, I have a bad feeling about this. I want to be on this side with you, and I do think Jack Sawyer in the first is a bit of a reach, but I'm kind of having a feeling right now that Johnny's going to be right on this take. I don't know what it is. I for some reason think like we're going to have egg on our face if we start being anti-Jack Sawyer guys.
Well, I just feel like
this guy and his terrible Lad McConkey takes.
I feel like I have
there and he's body bagging people at the Senior Bowl, and you and I are like, no, Lad is good. Lad is a good football player, and Johnny's like, nope, I don't see it. You know, in my perch here in the East Valley of Arizona, while you guys are boots on the ground in Mobile, and you saw it with your own eyes, and we're like, no, Johnny, listen to us. Lad is good, and then you just completely crush him.
I feel like I have a better track record with defensive players and front seven players than I do skill players. So I'm willing to give you that. I'm a big enough man. I'm the biggest man to admit that I was wrong about Lad McConkey, but we'll see how he looks in year two.
I think Mike Sawyer takes are going to age like
leftover
guacamole.
I want nothing more than for Johnny to be horrifically wrong at every stop along the way in the draft process. But I for some reason, I just have a sick feeling Jack Sawyer is going to be one of those guys. It's just like he gets in the league and he's like maybe just like he just continues to be a good football player.
Yeah, I
think he's got a decently high floor.
6'5". You're talking about Dennis Gardeck.
Oh my God, 6'5".
You're talking about Dennis Gardeck is 6 foot. Dennis Gardeck is small. This guy is enormous. You're talking about him like he's some like 1AA prospect walk on.
No, I think that he's a good college football player. I'm skeptical that his first round NFL draft talent like is physically, athletically. If he is part like that mold, like I don't think he is. I think he's a good D1 football player that can star at that level. But as far as like once you get to the next level and you got all these guys that can equal your athleticism and then some, I would much rather have somebody with a higher ceiling.
Yeah, you want to go ceiling guy at pick 16, that's fine. But what happens if their ceiling blows up in your face? Like the Cardinals, part of the appeal of Darius last year was he had a really high floor. Again, I'm not going to come on here and say Jack feel gross about that. We're going to reconvene after the combine, and we're going to see if Jack Sawyer is trending up, and we're going to see about Cam Scatterbo. Bo, just based on like analytics, Bo's going to be right about one of those two guys. I do think one of those two guys will not pan out, just by odds in general.
Running back is like that. Running backs are what they are. I feel like you're not really projecting with a running back as much. You know what you're getting out of one of those guys. So I feel like Scat is pretty safe. But I'd rather have JT in the second round than Jack Sawyer in the first round. If like we were comparing Ohio State defensive ends.
How about this guy from my guy Angel de Los Reyes? Johnny's never watched any tape or film. He looks off at grades. Amateur, shaking my head. This is amateur hour, so subscribe to it. That's what you get here, my friend. Let's never draft again, JV. I'm only going to draft. I'm in charge of these mock drafts. Do you like what you see? I like this from Ryan. Trust in JV, absolutely. Cards Kingdom. Hassan Reddick is like 6'1", and Johnny doesn't look anymore. I think you need some diversity on your defensive line. You need some guys that are 6'5". You need some guys that are 6'1", that can have a track record. Like not all 6'1" pass rushers are the same. Dennis Gardeck tops out at 5.
Yeah.
Son Reddick.
But then you're gonna be like, he's 6'5", man. He's 6'5". Look at how tall he is.
You talk about Jack Sawyer like he's like
Zayden Collins is 6'5".
Yeah, but Zayden Collins didn't look like that at Tulsa. That kid plays at Ohio State. Their defense is elite, and he is one of, if not the best player on their defense. I mean, just sorry.
He's not the best.
I just feel like with the Cardinals, just keep trying to hit doubles and triples. And if you hit a home run, great. But like with the state of this roster now, like Jack Sawyer is going to come in and hopefully be a 2 or a 3 option as a rookie and overachieve, because that's what he does. If you're taking Jack Sawyer to like be the guy defensively year one, you're going to be disappointed. But like the Cardinals aren't in that position where they have to do that. I mean, hell, we had those expectations with Marv last year, and they're like, nope, he's just an option. You're telling me right now, Gannon and Nick Ross aren't going to love Jack Sawyer? Come on now. Knowing them, knowing what we know about them, that's fine. You take your tweener that can't play off the edge.
You're taking explosive, violent.
Bo wants, let's just clone
rusher.
Nolan Smith. Let's just get Nolan Smith in here. Let's get all the guys that are
names in my mouth.
Like 195. Yeah, let's get Nolan Smith and some of these guys in here.
Nolan Smith actually had a pretty good second season.
6.5 sacks. Congrats. Jack Sawyer's going to do that as a rookie next year. Look at. Hey, Nolan Smith, can you run your 40? Oh, that's not real football. Oh, real football. Let's watch real football. Oh, Jack Sawyer dominates. Got it.
But then it's going to be like Jack Sawyer is going to run like a 4.8 and like Nolan Smith ran a 4.4.
What is Jack Sawyer really going to run in the 40 time? I think if he breaks 4.8, look out. If he's in the 4.7s, look out.
Johnny.
Look out. Sorry, I want a good football player. I am so over.
Yeah.
Let's grade off metrics and analytics and combine statistics alone. They should be a partnership of what you see on tape.
His estimated 40 time, Johnny, is 4.6 flat.
If he runs a 4.6, he might go top 10. Could be another Scattaboo situation where Bo scoffs at it and he's already gone. Bo avoided that problem altogether. Super chat, then we'll get out of here. Josh, $5. Like it or not, there are 6 to 8 edge rushers that are above Sawyer. I would rather go interior defensive line, trade up to get JT in the second. Bo's, you're higher on JT, correct? Than Jack Sawyer. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's fine. We got a long draft season ahead of us. Fisticuffs every single day, 4:30 Mountain Time here on PHNX Cardinals. Do us a favor. If you like what you see here, even if you don't love my mock draft, hit that like button. Okay. Don't punish the rest of us if you disagree with an opinion here. Let your voices be known in the comments. Tell us who we should have. I keep waiting for people to tell me the alternative to what we did. Where was the alternative, Bo?
As far as taking Sawyer, trading down and taking Sawyer.
Yeah, like who did people prefer?
There were a lot better edge rushers at 16. But I wanted you to let your dream play out. I gave that to you. We'll see if you can return the favor next week in the mock draft. I think you're incapable of doing so. You'll never put your ego aside and allow Damon and I to take the sticks and make maybe a better, maybe higher ceiling pick going forward. But we'll see. We'll see. People can change.
Had Scattaboo been available in the second round, I would have used one of the 2 picks on him. No doubt about it. Josh Espada 02, friend of the program, $4.99. Draft Scattaboo. He's a dog. Before you say anything, shut up, Bo. Your takes on Scat are worse than JV's takes on every receiver in the draft ever. I thought we were on the same page, and then he throws that dig at me at the end. So
yeah,
how do you like your opinion? Are you higher on Scat than you are Jack Sawyer at this point, or are you impartial to both right now?
I think Jack Sawyer might be the defensive counterpart to Cameron Scattaboo. Really good college football players, guys that will be good pros. But like when I look at the second round in the NFL draft, I look at guys that I want to have really high ceilings.
I think Jack Sawyer has a higher ceiling at his position than Cam Scattaboo at his position.
That's where I'll disagree. I think Cam Scattaboo probably.
Okay, fair. Drop a like on this video.
He's the second best running back in the class. Sawyer, the second best edge rusher in the class?
No, it's a great year for edge rushers. Is it a great year for backs? Maybe it is. Yeah, Shaft knows. They're both beasts. Absolutely. They both make the Cardinals better. And I think that's the point of this offseason. But one of them fits a need. The other does not. The other would be a splurge value pick, just like Tip Ryman once upon a time. Do us a favor, subscribe to PHNX Sports here on YouTube. We are trying to get to 40,000 subscribers. Do us a favor, hit that like, ring that bell notification. We had an emergency pod earlier today for some Suns trade action. You never know when your boys, PHNX Cardinals, might go live. And then, of course, become a diehard at gophnx.com. The Discord was hopping on Monday night. The tomfoolery that was had at State Farm Stadium, you can only see and have access to those videos via our exclusive member Discord. Plus, you get a free shirt every single year, Bo. You're a diehard.
Yeah. I'm going to drop my my mock draft from tonight into the Discord and just hopefully feel better about myself.
Your Renegade mock?
Yep. So look for that in the Discord. Only way to get eyes on that, go phnx.com and becoming a diehard. Big thanks to our guy, Clarence Hill. Check out his great work, DLLS. They're talking, of course, all the big stories really going around the NFL right now involving the Cowboys. How about them boys? And, of course, for Damon, Dawg, Johnny Venerable, and everybody here at PHNX Sports, we'll talk to you with a brand new episode tomorrow right here, 4:30.
We all silly like the mayor.